Well, taking a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you see it went up 44 points today, over 10,000, up to 10,680. The NASDAQ up 20 points at 2,304. Rob Black is here to talk about your money. The stock's on the rise, and a lot of that has to do with what's happening in the job market and the service sector. Talk about that.
Yeah, today we got an ADP employer report that showed the private sector added more jobs than expected. But on the other hand, President Obama came out today and said, I'm pretty sure unemployment's going to get worse, as did Timothy Geithner yesterday, our Treasury Secretary. So they're kind of prepping us for more bad news, the Democrats are.
And getting worse because?
Stimulus isn't taking hold.
Yeah.
People are hesitant. Consumer confidence is
still
down.
Low, yeah.
Wages aren't really increasing. So it was an interesting day, to say the least.
Corporate hiring still slow, though, even though there were more jobs added than expected this time. Still slow.
Yes, and one of the things that I'm seeing the Obama administration do to try to help that is they're settling court cases with Intel. They're settling court cases with Dell. They're settling court cases with HP. So they're trying to take off the Justice Department pressure on companies and trying to be nice to big business. So I think in about a year, 2 years, we'll start seeing a much better scenario. I think it's stopped getting worse, but we're not seeing it get much better.
Well, politically, 1 to 2 years is a long time for politicians. Let's look now at what's happening in the Gulf of Mexico with British Petroleum. The government is now saying that, upwards of 3/4 of that oil is gone.
And what's interesting about that is, again, I'm a stock guy. I'm not a social guy. Yeah. The oil's not my issue. But as a stock guy, the stock stopped getting worse as they started to slow down the oil flow. Then the CEO resigned. Then they capped it, and the stock continued to get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So it's gone from $30 now up to about $40 a share. And today, by saying that a lot of the oil's evaporated, a lot of it's been dispersed, a lot of it's been burned off. Again, it hits another, not a 52-week high, but kind of a recovery high. So the news is starting to accumulate and go positive for BP.
So does that make you think that this is a time to buy? Since you're a stock guy, this is a time to buy stock in BP?
There's still some risk. There's going to be some lawsuits, and there's going to be some court cases, a lot like the Exxon Valdez, where it goes to court, and there will be a big fine. So there's a little bit of headline risk. But if I were a gambling man, I'd say the odds are that it goes higher before it goes lower in the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay, let's look at some tech news. Motorola planning Android tablet computer to challenge the iPad.
What's interesting that I'll throw out here is everyone's trying to come up with a new tablet computer. HP's got one, Motorola's got one, Research Motion, the Crackberry, the BlackBerry, they've got a BlackPad coming out, so everyone has one. But what's kind of interesting is I have an album that I bought from iTunes last year, and my iPod blew up, and I won't leave because I want my album back. I paid $8.99 for an album, so the longer it takes everyone else to catch up to Apple, the more embedded and entrenched they are, because the apps that you and I buy, we want them back, and they don't transfer to the new devices. So I don't feel Apple's threatened here.
And it seems like Apple always gets such a big send-off for all of its product compared to other companies. Yeah,
it's kind of funny. Research in Motion just hired a guy to wear a black turtleneck when they introduced their new BlackBerry phone.
To look like Steve Jobs.
To make it look like Steve Jobs, and they had a big media event. So everyone's trying to copy Apple in more ways than one, management as well as product.
All right. Well, Rob Black is going to be back later in this newscast to answer your